Don't fear your future, because Allah has already written it with wisdom, mercy and purpose. My beloved brothers and sisters, so much of our anxiety comes from what has not even happened yet. We overthink tomorrow, worry about outcomes, and imagine problems that may never come. We fear failure, rejection and uncertainty, forgetting that our future is not in our hands, it is in the hands of Allah. The one who brought you this far without you knowing how, the one who solved problems you thought would never end, is the same one who is writing your future right now. When you truly understand this, your heart begins to calm down. You stop trying to control everything and you begin to trust. Because what Allah writes is never random, and what He plans is always better than what you fear. Your future is already written by Allah. Your future is not something random or uncertain. It is already written by Allah with complete knowledge and perfect wisdom. Before you were even born, your life, your tests, your provision and your path were all known and decreed by Him. This is not meant to make you feel restricted, but to bring you peace. Because when you understand that your future is already written, you realize that nothing can take away what is meant for you, and nothing can give you what is not written. This removes a deep layer of anxiety from your heart. You stop fearing the unknown and begin to trust the one who knows everything. Your life is not unfolding without direction. It is unfolding exactly as Allah has planned, and that plan is always filled with wisdom, even when you do not understand it. My beloved brothers and sisters, many of our worries come from trying to control what we were never meant to control. You think about the future and feel pressure, as if everything depends on your decisions alone. But Allah reminds us that He is Al-Alim, the one who knows all things, and Al-Hakim, the one whose wisdom is perfect. When your future is written by such a creator, how can you truly fear it? Even when things seem unclear, there is a plan behind it. Even when things feel delayed, there is a reason for it. This belief allows your heart to soften and your thoughts to slow down, because you realize that you are not walking blindly through life. When you truly accept that your future is already written, overthinking begins to lose its power over you. You stop replaying scenarios in your mind and trying to predict every outcome. You realize that no matter how much you think, you cannot change what Allah has already decreed. This understanding does not make you passive, it makes you peaceful. You still take action, you still plan, but your heart is not attached to controlling every result. You begin to live with a balance between effort and trust, and that balance brings a calmness that overthinking could never give you. There is a deep comfort in knowing that what is meant for you will never miss you. You may worry about opportunities, relationships or outcomes, but if something is written for you, it will reach you no matter what stands in the way. And if something misses you, it was never meant for you, no matter how much you desired it. This belief protects your heart from regret. Instead of constantly thinking, what if, you begin to say, Allah knows best. And in that statement, you find peace, because you trust that Allah's knowledge is greater than your understanding. Sometimes you may look at your life and feel confused about where things are going. You may not see the purpose behind certain events or understand why things are happening the way they are. But just because you cannot see the full picture does not mean there is no plan. Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead, what is hidden, and what is best for you in ways you cannot imagine. When you remind yourself of this, your confusion begins to turn into trust. You no longer feel lost, you feel guided. Even if the path is not fully clear, dua becomes more meaningful when you know your future is already written. You are not asking Allah to change something randomly. You are asking Him within the knowledge of what He has already decreed. And Allah, in His mercy, allows your dua to be part of that decree. Your prayers are not separate from your destiny, they are included in it. This understanding strengthens your connection with Allah. You make dua with hope, knowing that your voice matters and that Allah listens and responds in the best way. Fear of failure begins to fade when you accept that your future is in Allah's hands. You no longer see failure as something that destroys your path, but as something that is part of your journey. If something does not work out, it is not because you are incapable, it is because Allah has written something better for you. This perspective changes how you deal with setbacks. Instead of being broken by them, you grow through them. You learn, you adjust, and you continue, knowing that every step is part of a greater plan. Patience becomes easier when you trust in what Allah has written for you. When things are delayed, you do not feel abandoned. You feel that there is wisdom behind the timing. You understand that Allah's plan is not rushed and it is never late. Everything happens exactly when it is meant to happen. This belief allows you to wait without losing hope. You remain steady, knowing that what is written for you is on its way, even if you cannot see it yet. Your self-respect is protected when you trust in Allah's decree. You do not chase people or lower yourself for opportunities because you know that your rizq and your future are already written. You do not need to beg for what Allah has already planned to give you. This understanding gives you dignity and confidence. You move through life with a sense of calm, assurance, knowing that what is yours will come to you in the right way and at the right time. Avoiding sins becomes more meaningful when you remember that your future is written. You realize that your actions still matter, that your choices are part of your journey, and that staying close to Allah brings barakah into your life. Sin can cloud your heart and make you feel restless, while obedience brings peace and clarity. When you strive to live in a way that pleases Allah, your journey becomes lighter, and your heart becomes more at ease with whatever unfolds. There will be moments when your heart feels weak and your mind returns to worry. This is part of being human. But in those moments, remind yourself again, your future is already written by Allah. The same Allah who brought you this far will not abandon you now. Reflect on how many times things worked out when you least expected it. Those moments were not accidents, they were part of Allah's plan. And just as He helped you before, He will continue to guide you forward. At the end of it all, true peace comes from surrendering your future to Allah. You do your part, you make your effort, and you leave the rest to Him. You stop trying to control everything and start trusting deeply. And in that trust, your heart finds rest. You move forward with hope instead of fear, with calm instead of anxiety. Because your future is not uncertain, it is already written by the one who is most merciful, most wise, and always in control. Worrying does not change what is decreed. Worry has become a habit for many people, especially when thinking about the future. You sit and replay situations in your mind, imagining outcomes, trying to predict what might happen next. But no matter how much you worry, it does not change what Allah has already decreed. It only drains your energy and disturbs your peace. Islam teaches us that what is written will come to pass, whether you worry about it or not. So the question becomes, what is the benefit of carrying this heavy burden in your heart? When you begin to understand that worrying cannot alter your destiny, you start to let go. You realize that your time and energy are better spent in trust, in action, and in turning to Allah. My beloved brothers and sisters, worry often feels like you are doing something productive, as if you are preparing yourself for what is coming. But in reality, it is a cycle that keeps you stuck. You think you are solving problems, but you are only repeating fears. Allah has already written your path with complete knowledge and wisdom. Nothing surprises Him and nothing escapes His control. When you remind yourself of this, you begin to see how unnecessary worry truly is. You are not responsible for controlling every outcome. You are responsible for trusting Allah and doing your part. Worrying often comes from a desire to feel in control. You want to know what will happen, how it will happen, and when it will happen. But life does not work that way. Allah has kept the future hidden for a reason. If you knew everything, you would not need to trust Him. This uncertainty is meant to bring you closer to Allah, not to push you into anxiety. When you accept that you do not need to know everything, your heart begins to relax. You start to live with more ease, focusing on your present actions instead of being consumed by unknown outcomes. Overthinking is closely tied to worry, and it can take over your mind if you allow it. You analyze every detail, consider every possibility, and still feel unsure. This constant thinking does not bring clarity, it brings exhaustion. Trusting in Allah breaks the cycle. It reminds you that your future is already in safe hands. You do not need to think about every possibility because Allah already knows what is best for you. When you let go of excessive thinking, you create space for peace to enter your heart. Dua is the most powerful response to worry. Instead of carrying your fears alone, you bring them to Allah. You speak to Him honestly, asking for ease, guidance and protection. In that moment, your heart feels lighter because you are no longer holding everything inside. Allah listens to every word, every thought and every concern. When you turn your worry into dua, you transform your anxiety into hope. You begin to feel supported, knowing that the one who controls everything is aware of your situation. Worry also takes away your ability to be present. When your mind is constantly focused on the future, you miss the blessings of the moment you are in. Islam teaches us to be mindful, to appreciate what Allah has given us right now. When you shift your focus from what might happen to what is happening, you begin to feel more grounded. You notice the small blessings in your life, and those blessings bring comfort to your heart. This presence reduces anxiety and helps you live with more gratitude. Sometimes worry is rooted in past experiences. You may have gone through difficulties before, and those memories make you fearful of what is ahead, but your past does not define your future. Allah's mercy is always present, and He can change your situation at any moment. When you hold on to your past fears, you limit your ability to trust in what Allah can do for you now. Letting go of those fears allows you to move forward with a heart that is open to new possibilities. Patience is essential when dealing with worry. You may not be able to stop worrying instantly, but you can gradually replace it with trust. Each time you feel anxious, remind yourself that worrying will not change what is written. Choose to be patient instead. This patience strengthens your faith and helps you develop a calmer mindset. Over time, you will notice that your worries become less intense and less frequent. Your self-respect is affected by how much you worry. When you are constantly anxious, you may feel weak or uncertain about your ability to handle life. But when you trust Allah and reduce your worry, you begin to feel stronger. You realize that you are capable of facing challenges with faith and resilience. This shift in mindset improves how you see yourself and how you approach your life. Avoiding sins also helps in reducing worry. Sin can create restlessness in your heart, making anxiety stronger. When you strive to stay close to Allah, seeking forgiveness and improving your actions, your heart becomes lighter. You feel a sense of peace that makes it easier to trust Allah. This connection between your spiritual state and your emotional well-being is powerful and should not be overlooked. Taking action is another way to overcome worry. When you focus on what you can do, you shift your energy from thinking to doing. This gives you a sense of progress and control over your efforts. You do not need to control the results. You only need to make sincere effort. When you combine action with trust in Allah, you create a balanced approach that reduces anxiety and increases confidence. At the end of it all, remember that worrying does not change what Allah has decreed. It only takes away your peace and distracts you from what truly matters. Choose to replace your worry with trust, your fear with faith, and your overthinking with dua. Your future is already written, and it is in the hands of the most merciful. When you truly believe this, your heart finds rest and you begin to move through life with calmness and hope. Allah's plan is always better than your fear. Fear often comes from imagining outcomes that have not happened. And many times, those imagined outcomes are far worse than reality. You begin to build scenarios in your mind, expecting loss, failure, or disappointment, and this creates a heaviness in your heart. But Allah's plan is not based on your fears, it is based on His perfect knowledge and mercy. What you fear may never happen, and what Allah plans may bring you ease in ways you never expected. When you reflect on this, you start to see how limited your perspective is compared to Allah's wisdom. Your fear looks at what could go wrong, but Allah's plan looks at what is best for you in this life and the next. And that difference changes everything. My beloved brothers and sisters, there were moments in your life when you feared something deeply, yet when it passed, you realized it was not as bad as you thought. Or perhaps something you feared actually led you to something better. This is a reminder that your fear is not always accurate. Allah's plan, however, is always precise. It carries wisdom that you may not understand at the moment, but later it becomes clear. When you begin to trust this, your fear loses its grip on your heart, because you know that what Allah chooses for you is never without purpose. Fear often tries to convince you that the future will harm you, that things will go wrong, and that you will not be able to handle it. But Allah's plan includes strength, growth, and protection. Even when you face challenges, they are not meant to break you, they are meant to shape you. Allah does not test you beyond what you can bear. This means that whatever comes your way, you have the ability, with Allah's help, to handle it. When you remember this, your fear begins to transform into trust, because you realize that you are never alone in your struggles. Overthinking feeds your fear by making you focus on possibilities instead of realities. You imagine outcomes without knowing what Allah has planned, and this creates unnecessary stress. But when you shift your focus to Allah's plan, you stop trying to control everything. You accept that you do not need to know every detail, because Allah already knows. This acceptance brings peace to your mind. You begin to trust the process instead of fearing it, and this trust allows you to move forward with a calm heart. Dua is one of the strongest ways to replace fear with trust. When you feel afraid, you turn to Allah and ask for ease, protection, and guidance. You speak to Him about your worries, knowing that He understands you better than anyone else. In that moment, your fear begins to soften. You are reminded that Allah is in control and that nothing happens without His permission. This connection through dua strengthens your faith and helps you see your situation with more clarity and hope. Sometimes Allah's plan involves delays, and these delays